So good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Pierre Noiza. I'm a co-founder of Pemium. Pemium is the company behind Bitcoin Central. Bitcoin Central is one of the earliest Bitcoin exchanges. It started in January 2011. It ran from January 2011 through April last month, April 2013. We were the first to sign a partnership with a banking partner, what we call in Europe a payment institution, which is the European equivalent of a MSB, money service business. And we suspended the service last month for two reasons. One is we are switching banking partners. And the other is there were cyber attacks last month, you may have noticed, DDoS attacks and cyber attacks. Now we'll explain the reason why this led us to suspend the service. So I will cover why we are in Bitcoin, because we have different backgrounds. There are three co-founders in Pemium. We come from the software industry and the telecom industry. I personally have a background with a large telco company I was working with on NFC payment before I founded Pemium. And I will tell you a bit about the Bitcoin exchange business, if we can share our experience about that with you. So this is a picture of the 2011 Bitcoin conference in Prague, in the Czech Republic. I put it up because this is not the speakers of the conference. This is the entire attendance of the conference. And this shows you how the way that's been the achievement of Bitcoin in less than 2 years, because I understand there are over 2,000 attendees this year in San Jose. So, and some of the people there are in the room, I can see. And you can see Rick Falkvinger, who is the Swedish founder of the Pirate Party in Sweden. So it was a fairly political conference. This conference is evidently more business-oriented. I understand there is a more political conference coming up later this year. So we are fully aligned with the mission statement of the Bitcoin Foundation that you can see here. We've been, I've been interested in cryptocurrencies for a long time. I knew about Ripple before I knew about Bitcoin. Essentially we are entirely aligned with the Bitcoin Foundation. We think it's a great initiative to have this non-profit organization in this conference. Is really a big success that can be attributed to this initiative. So what is it we do at Pemium? We do what we call a transaction platform. What's a transaction platform? It's basically an accounting system where you can handle deposits and withdrawals, and where you can attach payment means, be it a mobile application or a credit debit card. It's essentially a prepaid payment system. On top of this transaction platform, so that's dealing with euros and Bitcoin. On top of this transaction platform, you have what's commonly referred to as a Bitcoin exchange. That's the capability to handle a order book, so to post sell and buy orders, and the matching engine that will match sell and buy orders. And last but not least, there is an online wallet and a mobile wallet. So that's the ability to send and receive payments while on the go, obviously, and that's through an API to the transaction platform. So the three elements are really important pieces of the puzzle, because without the exchange, you don't have the current exchange rate and liquidity to have a mobile wallet that, for instance, will process the payments through the Bitcoin network. So you have to depend on a third-party Bitcoin exchange. So at Pemium, we think it's important to have both Bitcoin exchange and the wallet together. So I want to talk briefly about two other services that we tried and stopped. And maybe there are many people in the room that use Install Wallet. Install Wallet is a great idea that was invented by a young German developer named Jan Forberg. Jan. We acquired the idea from Ian early last year. We developed our own code base for InstaWallet, and we operated it through from early last year through April last month. So with InstaWallet, it was probably the quickest way to get a Bitcoin address. For a newbie, you'd go to instawallet.org, and there you have a Bitcoin address, because the Bitcoin address is linked to your hidden URL. You are getting a secret URL that you keep for yourself, and that's your key to the address. So it's a very simple idea. So it's a very native Bitcoin service, because it's not something you can easily do with any other payment system. And it was very successful. It was, in fact, hugely successful, but it was sometimes used for the wrong reasons. So people would use it to mix funds that were not necessarily always legitimate, because you'd send Bitcoins to this address, and you could, when you withdraw, obviously it's not coming from the same address because it's a hosted, what we call a hosted wallet. You had a shared pool of addresses with the other users. So when you send money to this wallet, and you take the money out, Bitcoins out, then your funds are mixed. So people were using it for that. And also they were using it for large amounts of Bitcoins. And it was not meant to do that, because it's a very unsecure way of storing Bitcoins, because your URL is a secret, is your secret. So you have to back up your URL like you would back up your private keys. But URL sitting on your PC is not a very secure location, evidently. So you don't want to store large amounts of Bitcoins on such a wallet. And in fact, we discourage people from doing that, but still they were doing it. So that led InstaWallet to become a honeypot for hackers, because it's a hot wallet. And eventually this happened. We lost a few thousand Bitcoins. We are still solvent, so we will refund all the InstaWallet users. In fact, if they go to their URL now, they are getting a form to claim their funds. So this will happen in the next few weeks as we process the claims. But for us, it was a learning experience, because it shows how difficult it is to secure a hot wallet with a considerable amount of Bitcoins on it. And I would strongly advise any Bitcoin business to do the same. You want to do almost everything in cold storage, and that's what we are going to do going forward. The other service I want to talk about briefly is InstaWire. It was it was also what I call a Bitcoin native service, in the sense that it's something you can do with Bitcoin technology, and not with any other easily with any other payment means. So essentially what you do is wire money to InstaWire, and in the comment field of your bank wire, you would put your Bitcoin address. And as a result, you would get your Bitcoins back to your Bitcoin address immediately with a spot price of the Bitcoin when we receive the wire. So it was a very simple way for people to get Bitcoins without having to go through an order book, because as someone said before this morning, buy and sell order is not something people are familiar with usually, unless they trade the stocks. And as a result, it was a great way again for newbies to get their first Bitcoins. But then there was another problem. The first problem was some scammers were using it to scam people. They were using it as a payment means. So they would say to people, to unsuspecting customers, send a wire to my account, which is in fact what was the InstaWire account, and they would specify that just put this code in the comment field of the wire, and that was a Bitcoin address. So the scammer would get the Bitcoins and would not deliver the goods. So that's what happened. The first thing that we discovered, and that led us to begin to doubt about InstaWire as a service. And the other thing that happened is the VAT problem, because what's the status of a Bitcoin? We don't know yet. It's a commodity. If it's a commodity, maybe there is VAT tax on it. That's at least what the tax administration told us. So as a result, we had to provision a tax liability, and that's VAT tax is close to 20%. So the price was going to the roof. So this was not a sustainable service, we thought. So for the time being, those two services are suspended, and we'll eventually resume them, but probably in a different configuration. So switching back to what we do as a Bitcoin exchange, I just want to remind that perhaps not everybody in the room is familiar with payment systems. So there are basically three categories. In fact, two legacy categories. The first is what we'd call a four-corner payment system. That's typically a card payment scheme, where you have a bank, the merchant has their bank, and the two banks will clear the transaction. The three-corner situation is typical of PayPal or American Express or Amazon Coins. It's one central organization, and you register to this system. The merchant is also registered, and you have a three-corner payment transaction. With Bitcoin, we have a new dimension that's peer-to-peer, true peer-to-peer transaction, where if Alice is a full node of a Bitcoin network and she wants to pay Bob, who is also a full node of the Bitcoin network, then they can be in a true peer-to-peer transaction. So they would send a transaction message. In 3 seconds, Bob will get the transaction message. He knows he's getting paid by Alice. He can wait for confirmation, but that's not necessary if he knows Alice beforehand. Or if it's just digital goods. So there are plenty of advantages, obviously. So what's important to understand is that with Bitcoin, you are not losing the other two options. In fact, they are still there. If Alice is using a hosted wallet, like she's using a Bitcoin exchange as a hosted wallet, then we are in a three-corner situation. In fact, Alice's wallet will pay Bob. Bob is a full node, Alice is using a hosted wallet. We have a three-corner situation. So we have a three-corner payment transaction with Bitcoin, and we can have the same if both Alice and Bob are using a hosted wallet, different hosted wallets. We have a four-corner payment transaction. So we are not losing anything, but we have the peer-to-peer on top of it. And when PayPal talks about peer-to-peer payment, in fact, it's propaganda. It's not really peer-to-peer. It's just customer to customer, which is very different. It's a three-corner transaction. So that's just to illustrate the difference between a peer-to-peer network and a server-based network. This is showing just the resilience of a peer-to-peer network. Yeah, there is no single point of failure. If one node goes down, it doesn't matter. The network is still operating. And the performance of the network is just amazing. As I keep mentioning how fast the Bitcoin transaction can go from, say, Europe to Asia. It's a matter of seconds. So it's really a high-performance network today, and very secure because of the hashing power. Okay, this is another aspect of Bitcoin that's extremely interesting for the payment sector, is the fact that Bitcoin is a de facto standard. It's a de facto standard for wallets, payment means to interact with each other. Today, when you are with PayPal, you can only pay someone who has a PayPal account. Same for the competitors of PayPal, and that's why the competitors of PayPal are all dying, because there is no way they can compete with they hit the wall of something called the network effect, and the network effect is playing in favor of PayPal, and that's why PayPal is so successful. But you have what we call a closed loop also. It's really in the three-corner situation, you are in a closed system. With Bitcoin, it's a game changer, because all of a sudden, if they have a Bitcoin plugin, they add a Bitcoin plugin to their wallet, these people, then all of a sudden they can pay each other. So that's something that makes Bitcoin a true game changer for the payment sector. Okay, so going back to a Bitcoin exchange, this is showing basically what it looks like in our vision. So on the left, you can see there are several ways to load the account. The wire transfer is still the mainstream fashion for deposits, primarily because of the chargebacks problem with cards, with debit or credit cards. There are chargebacks with wires, by the way. You have a window of up to 8 days, I believe, in Europe, for a customer to challenge the wire he just made. So you have to be aware of that.